Vítajte pri Open Talku. Budeme dnes diskutovať o ajurvede a o tom, ako sa to dá vlastne sklbiť s tradičnou medicínou. Moje meno je Zuzana Kovačič-Hanzelová, som novinárka z denníka SME a teraz prepnem do angličtiny. Budeme diskutovať v angličtine. Ak budete mať náhodou niekto z vás otázku, tak sa pokojne prihláste. And I will now switch to English. So, Anish Kurias from Kurias Earth Ayurveda Hospital, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Let's start from the beginning for those who are maybe unfamiliar with Ayurveda.
Okay.
What are the fundamental principles of Ayurveda?
Yeah, Ayurveda is one of the most oldest medical science in the world, and it is not just a medical science; it's a life science. And the fundamentals of Ayurveda is based on three things: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These are some Sanskrit words, which is a bit difficult for you to understand. But I will explain it in a very simple way. When an allopathic doctor look at a patient, they see the patient with 11 systems and the associated organs, and the disease and the disorders come to the system and the organ. But an Ayurveda doctor look at the patient, we see only the cells, and we look at the cells, we see 100 trillion atoms inside that, and then we look at the subatoms and the space, and we try to correct the rhythmic movement of the subatoms and the space, and the body will correct by itself. So it's not like a forcible treatment in Ayurveda. We always create an atmosphere where the body will heal by itself. For example, to make you more understand, if you get a bone fracture, what the doctor is doing, just keeping the bone together in the place and then putting the plaster of Paris or immobilization. After a few weeks, we can see the body will make the bone cells to grow, and then it wrap the bone and then heal it by itself. So if body can heal such a strong or most important thing in the body, which is bone, which is broken, body can heal anything and everything. It's all about creating the atmosphere. So if you're good in creating atmosphere, any disease or any disorder can be taken care in Ayurveda.
So what is the difference between classical medical hospital and yours? Let's imagine I have, for example, high pressure problems or whatever disease we pick. I come to your place. What is the process? How is it different from a traditional hospital?
Yeah, very good question. See, actually, in allopathy, patient will be taken as a client and then try to understand what are the problems they are facing. For example, you said the BP, high BP, and they give medicine for reducing the BP, and then it's a lifelong procedure. There is no chance to ask the doctor when I can stop the medicine. If you go with the diabetic, the same thing. They give medicine and then lifelong you have to continue. But in Ayurveda, we try to understand and analyze why this BP is more or why the sugar level is more. And this analyzation is highly personalized. So the reason behind your disorder may not be the reason behind the same disorder of another one person. As I can say your fingerprint is very unique. The same fingerprint is not with anyone. The DNA pattern of every person is so different. So the same medicine given for the same for the same disease for different people are not actually accepted in Ayurveda. So we try to analyze the root cause of the problem, and we address that. And if it is because of a mistake of the person, we ask them to correct it. So for example, if you are not sleeping in the night, there is a chance the BP goes up. So make it to sleep in the night is enough to cure it.
Yeah, I have a small baby, so it's a little bit difficult for me now to sleep, but I understand. So I've picked the high pressure example because in Slovakia we have a problem when the highest number of people take medication for high pressure, according to OECD numbers, with the lowest effectiveness because lifestyle changes are needed and people are not willing to do it in Slovakia. So they take medications, but they don't change their lifestyle. Doesn't this make Slovakia unsuitable for Ayurvedic principles, which are fundamentally based on changing your lifestyle for a healthy lifestyle, right?
You see, actually the answer is very simple. There is nothing called as bad student. There is only bad teacher. If the Slovakians are not ready to follow the life change, that's a failure of the doctor. So if the doctor is just for prescribing the medicine and not educating the patient how they have to change their lifestyle, that's totally the failure of the doctor, not connected to the patient at all.
You think so, but we drink a lot of alcohol, we have greasy food, and people are so used to drink and eat these kind of things, then
Ye-
it's pretty hard to change the lifestyle, right?
See, nothing is difficult. The thing is, like, if you come to me, then I will understand you very personally, and I understand why you feel like drinking and eating and overeating, and then I can guide you in such a way with a little bit of fear sometimes. For some people, logical explanation. Some people, scientific explanation. So we have to understand this particular person will follow which kind of explanation, and just give that, and they will start following. So again, I am saying the failure is not with the patient, the failure is completely with the doctor.
So, okay, does one need Ayurveda intervention to know that all of these principles are healthy and good for you? How does Ayurveda approach mental and emotional well-being differently from conventional medicine?
The mental problems or the emotional problems are well taken care in Ayurveda, because if I divide Ayurveda treatment into two, the first part is for the mental disorders and diseases or the mental health, and the second part is for the physical health. Now, Ayurveda is the science which explains about mind so fantastically. I'm talking about 4,000 years back. So, if you can take your attention to the part of this world, like the Slovakia, 4,000 years back, it was nothing. So in that time in India, they explained so fantastically about what is mind, what is the function of the mind, what is the reasons behind the abnormality and normality, reaction, overreaction, so fantastically, and they give solution for that also. So for a simple example, I've come across so many people over here, and when I was looking at the face of the people, what I was reading mainly is fear, and it looks like unknown fear. Most of the people over here is expressed fear, and it's so unfortunate that it's unknown for them. So unknown fear is a very big problem. Non fear means you can take care of it, but if it is unknown,
So people fear, but they do not know that they fear.
about what they fear, yes. The question you framed for me first about a high BP, it's just because of the fear. Because I was doing an internet search and I was shocked to know, the most important reason behind the death of Slovakian is cardiac disease, and the second one is COVID.
Yes.
So why the cardiac disease happens here? Because the doctors understand heart as an organ and treat the heart or treat the pressure increased or the cholesterol and all. No, that's not the reason. We have to look at the patient as a whole, because some patient the high BP may be because of mental stress, sometimes because of the food, sometimes because of less water, sometimes because of lack of exercise, and correcting them why their BP is most important than just giving medicine and reducing the BP, because when they maintain the BP or manage the disease, it is just managed. It's not taken care at all.
So when I was thinking about questions I would ask you today, I thought that maybe the biggest potential for Ayurveda is chronic disease like obesity, high pressure, and stuff like that, because I'm a bit skeptical in cancer treatment, for example. I'm more traditional person for this, but is it like the best potential for Ayurveda in Slovakia for the chronic disease, like heart disease, obesity, and high pressure?
This is a bit difficult for you people to understand, because like you are framed from long time, or you are conditioned from long time that this disease can be treated with this medicine or the treatment. But in Ayurveda, there is no treatment for any disease. The treatment is for the person, the patient. The diagnosis is done for the patient. For example, if you come to me with a headache, I may be finding another one problem where your digestive system is not working properly, or your like your circulatory system is not working properly. So I'm not supposed to treat for your headache. I have to treat for the basic reason behind the headache. You understand? So there is no disease which is not treatable in Ayurveda, but there are some patients who are not treatable in Ayurveda, because if they are not ready to follow the rules and regulations, then it's really difficult.
So what about belief? For example, I'm like the scientific traditional person. I would come to you and I would be a non-believer in Ayurveda, but I would follow the rules. Would it
That's
be
a
okay?
fantastic question. See, I'll say you, belief is a slavery. I repeat again, belief is slavery. You don't need to believe Ayurveda, or you don't need to believe at all. Means, what is happening with the allopathy doctor? If I ask a question like, how many doctors in Slovakia, 20,500 allopathy doctors are here in Slovakia, how many of them have seen COVID virus? I fear I get a long silence. Why? Because most of them did not see the COVID virus, and they believed somebody said there is a virus around you and it is creating trouble, and then you treat. Okay, so the system is working with belief. there is no need of believing Ayurveda at all. If I give you some medicine which is purgative in nature, you take it, you cannot sit here for more than 10 minutes because you have to go to the loo.
So even if I'm skeptical and I
Yes.
try Ayurveda, the results are the same.
See, first you have to understand Ayurveda is not a medical science. If I ask you to drink water, 50 ml of water every 15 minutes, it's a piece of advice in Ayurveda. It's like an operative procedure in Ayurveda. If I ask you to walk barefoot every day, morning and evening, that's a treatment in Ayurveda. If I ask you to read a newspaper which is old every day for 1 hour before you go to sleep, the quality of the sleep increases. REM sleep can be cured completely with just doing this. This is Ayurveda.
But you might get the high pressure from the newspaper in Slovakia.
That's what, again, you have to take the advice from the doctor very properly, where I will be selecting the date and the newspaper. That's very important. It's a very, very valid point. Because if you read the newspaper, which is having a wrong information, then again, you will be in trouble. But you are going to read the
They
same
have
newspaper.
the good information, but it's a bit upsetting now.
I saw the newspaper with the bear attack. So I was planning to go for the breakfast tomorrow, then I cancelled.
Okay, so I'm a journalist. So I have to ask critical questions, right? So
You are most welcome.
many Ayurvedic treatments lack large-scale, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies. How can we be sure that they are truly effective and not just placebo effect?
See, actually, what is placebo effect? If you take an allopathic medicine, which is done high research for years together, and they come up and say this medicine is good for this particular disease. But most of the time we are seeing these medicines are withdrawn after 100 years, after 10 years or 15 years. If I ask a question back, do you have one medicine in allopathy which is standing from last 50 years? I get a long silence. And if I ask the same question to the doctor keeps saying, we are upgrading, we are scientifically upgrading. No, that's not the fact. They are understanding they were wrong. All the researchers went in wrong.
Well, you're learning from your mistakes, right?
That's what. So today what you are saying as very scientific can be wrong tomorrow. But Ayurveda is a time-tested, time-proven medicine. The same medicine which my grandfather or great-grandfather was given 170 years before, I'm giving the same medicine now also. So it's a time-tested, time-proven scientific stuff.
Well, but one might say, unlike modern medicine, Ayurveda often relies on centuries-old texts, as you say, rather than rigorous clinical trials. How do you address the concern that some Ayurvedic practices may not meet the scientific standards of evidence-based medicine? Because it's so old, right? It's like thousands of years.
Yeah, I totally welcome the question because the ideology is entirely different. If I ask you a question, is Newton's physics is correct or Einstein's quantum physics? Which one is correct? So you cannot explain Einstein's physics and Newton's physics, right? So both are correct. If I say this table is a stable object here, which is agreeable by everybody, but why you agree? Because the table is not a stable object. The table is moving along with the earth. Since you are also moving with the table, you are feeling this table is stable. So the scientificness, what you are understanding is not really scientificness.
But you believe in science, right?
Of course,
And
the science is very important. Then again, you have to understand which physics is correct. See, if you agree with the Newton's physics, then the atom bomb happened in the Hiroshima is wrong. But it actually happened. You understand? So in our science, we believe in the atomic understanding, the subtle level of the body, and we are not looking at the systemic level or biochemistry level. So for example, in allopathy, you go with a hyperglycemic condition. They give medicine and reduce the hyperglycemic condition and make the patient to believe that your diabetic is reduced. Is it really true? You ask the doctor to stop the medicine and check the sugar after 3 days. It is up again. So actually they are fooling you by saying that this is the treatment. Actually it is just a management. They take the blood, put in the chemical and say your sugar level is more. They give you a chemical, then take your blood, put in the same chemical and say it's right. Now what's happening?
One more critical question, because I looked up your website of your hospital, and you stated that you could treat autism, but it's like genetical thing, right? So how do you treat autism?
Yeah, see, actually, I treated more than some 1,000 autistic kids by now. So, in the most important thing is when we do interaction with the patient or when we consult the patient, what we are understanding, the kid is completely normal up to 2 years. They were talking, walking, doing everything very normal. After 2 years, they are getting into the problem. And why they are getting into the problem?
They call it regress, right?
No, the genetics disease means from the day first onwards, it should be abnormal. If it is genetics, then the day first onwards. If it not, then from 2 year, 3 year, they are getting into this problem. So every autistic kids are not genetic disorders.
But you can treat autism, like.
Yeah, we are treating. A lot of case studies are there. We can see the website. A lot of videos are there. The patients are coming and saying.
And the results?
70 to 80%, we can make them to live in the society in a better way. Actually, autistic kids are more brilliant. Like.
So you are improving their life, let's say.
I'm improving the quality of their life.
Yeah, okay.
Because every parent of the autistic kid is worried about the life of the kid after their death. You understand what I say?
Yeah.
So their life will be upgraded to that level where they can survive without their parents.
And the last question, some studies have found that Ayurvedic medicines contain harmful levels of heavy metals like lead, mercury, arsenic. How do you ensure the safety and standardization of your Ayurvedic treatments?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Yeah, I totally agree with you. There are few companies which is not maintaining the standard, but it was a long story. It was not now. Now we are having a Ayush division, which is a central government body, which is taking care of the standardization of the Ayurvedic medicines. But this was happening 10 years back, but not now.
So I can imagine that if there are some doctors here, probably they are, they have limited openness, right, to Ayurveda, let's say. Many are not keen to adopt even the newest scientific approach in some topics like vaccination or others. Many are trained to follow a rigid approach. How would you or how could you persuade them to implement such approach as Ayurveda that is not rooted in our culture in Slovakia at all?
I should strongly disagree with what you said the last. It is not there in your culture. Ayurveda is actually, like a life science. Yesterday I was invited to take dinner with a local healer, and I was surprised to see the information she's having about the local herbs. And she says local herbs are available in the pharmacy. And she is treating many patients with the local herbs and giving very good result. So I asked her, what you do, because she is staying in a village and it was looking like, little unsafe, and they are 75 and 69. And she said, last 10 years I never visited a GP because we drink all these things and then we are healthy and happy. Then I asked her another one question, how many Slovakians are into this? And her answer was very interesting. She said, few brilliant are into this. So it is happening. Ayurveda is here in your place also in a different name. That's all.
And about the rigid approach of the doctors, how would you persuade them?
Yeah, see, actually, I cannot blame them because, like in 8 years or 10 years of training, they are highly conditioned to believe, certain principles and certain informations. And how our brain works. Our brain works always with the safe side. So they love to be in yesterday so that they are in safe. So it's very difficult for, getting into openness. I really recommend, if any doctors are here, I really recommend them to convert themselves into scientists. Scientists won't believe. Scientists will ask questions. They will have a lot of doubts and they need a lot of courage. They are conditioned with the social status, the economical status, because, the hospital asks them to do like this and they have to do it. If you study or do some research about the medical history, you will really understand. 1947, till 1947, this part of the world, the doctors were called as apothecaries. And how they used to practice? A patient come to them, they consult the patient, understand the patient, and then go to the pharmacy, make the combination, and give to the patient. It was individualized practice up to 1947. And 1947, what happened? The atom bomb happened, the world war ended. So many factories in this area and US were not knowing what to do next because they were manufacturing bullets and guns till 1947. And then these companies started manufacturing medicine. This is the industrialization of the medicine. You can Google and understand, don't need of believing me, but you can do this. So industrialization of medicine happened and some companies started making medicine in bulk. And after making that, they understood there should be somebody to consuming. So what they did, they made a curriculum called allopathic medicine curriculum. So it's a highly planned, I'll be okay to travel back tomorrow, right?
But the life expectancy is better than in 1947, so...
That is the most important point. They try to confuse the people. The life expectancy is better just because the war stopped, better houses have come, and better roads have come, better quality of the food has come.
Yeah, yeah.
So many factors are included in that. It's not just the medicine, but they try to take the total credit to the medicine. I'm not completely against the medical science or allopathic
But
science.
vaccination helped.
That is a question to be asked. Because like recently the new US government has gone back from the mandatory aspect of the vaccine, and you should ask this question: why? All these years they were saying all these vaccines were mandatory, and then one fine day morning they said it's not mandatory. Why?
I'm a vaccine believer, I have to say. But okay. So I assume that you worked with doctors that were skeptical at first, and you somehow persuaded them. So what persuaded them? What was the thing that you did that persuaded some skeptical doctor?
See, what you experience is your truth. What you learn from somebody else is your intellect. There is a big difference between intellect and intelligence. Intellect is bankrupt. You collect the information from everywhere and you arrange and rearrange and represent. This is intellect. So most of the doctors are intellect, but intelligence is it's completely holded. Intelligence is what you are born with. You will go find and try to understand, analyze, ask questions, get answers, and you experience, and then what you get is intelligence. You understand?
So you persuaded only the intelligent ones?
Yeah, everyone is intelligent. Intelligence is something what you are born with. But because of the situations, they are not able to come out of that real intelligence because the society demands intellect. If I have so much of information, society accepts me because I'm intellect. But the fact is I'm collecting this information from different part of the world and then just representing it. That's all. It's not the real intelligence.
Yeah, I can imagine that doctors are nowadays fully occupied just keeping up with the latest approaches to epidemics, viruses, and stuff like that, new findings in various fields, right? So when they prioritize their time, I'm a bit skeptical that they would dedicate the free time to Ayurveda. What would you say?
This is not a science which you can study in the free time. If they're really interested, they should really come and try to understand the basic principles of Ayurveda. Because if you ask me to study Slovakian language in English grammar, that's not going to happen. If I want to study Slovakian language, I have to study in Slovakian grammar, right? The same way, if you want to study Ayurveda, you have to study an Ayurvedic basic principle. And then if they analyze, understand, and experience, they can start implementing it. Starting from the consultation, diagnosis measures, patient etiology, and the treatment, they can start working. Now, every intelligent doctor and experienced doctor knows the limitation of their science. So let them start with the limitation. Where allopathy stops, there Ayurveda starts, and where Ayurveda stops, there allopathy starts. These are parallel lines. It's not going to meet anywhere.
India is the only country with a central ministry for alternative medicine. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, in Slovak context, alternative medicine is usually a nickname for anti-vaxxers, homeopathy, and supplements that basically cost you a lot of money and you could eat a broccoli instead. Alternative medicine, including Ayurveda, is often used by people who distrust conventional medicine in Western countries. How do you prevent misinformation and ensure that patients do not delay necessary medical treatments in favor of Ayurvedic medicine, for example?
See, to understand this, actually, you need more common sense. And then I will try to find a medicine which increases common sense, and then it will happen very fastly over here. Otherwise, they should really put time to understand what is actually happening. When you call these things as alternative system in your country, it is really wrong. The other medicines were the real medicines of Slovakia. And then the allopathy came, they destroyed it, and then ruled the country. This is the actual fact, because I visited the village and they are so much into it. When they get a cough and cold, they don't go for any medicine. They are taking some tea and then they are saying we are getting well.
Yeah, usually we do that. Yeah.
So that's actual medicine. That is your real medicine. You understand?
No. I mean, yes, that's the cough, right? But what about cancer? We have stories about people that take supplements instead of cancer treatment in traditional hospital, for example, right? So how would you prevent the alternative medicine that is, so-called
I was doing a research in the internet about the cancer treatment success in Slovakia. It's only 51%.
Yes.
So that means 49% of the people are not getting any result.
Yes.
from the conventional
Yeah,
treatment.
because we don't have the innovation treatment allowed in the. It's a long story.
So
But you know,
what
how
I'm
would you?
trying to make you understand
Yes.
is like, that's not the last line of the treatment. When they say there is no treatment more, it's not like that. You have to encounter the fear, face it, and then change your lifestyle. Um, you know, correct so many things and find a healer who can really walk you to the healing.
So, how would you explain to a doctor that may be sitting here um, that the alternative medicine, how is it called, is not harmful for people, but it's like in hand with the traditional medicine, right? Because that's what we are trying to achieve, right? Like the traditional medicine with the Ayurvedic medicine, right? So, how would you cooperate and not.
See, like educating them is the most and the best way of doing it. So, if they understand, like there are some other medical science in this world which is giving very good result in many of the conditions, and they're having different ideology, different philosophy, different theory, and they should be ready to study that. You understand? No? So, if they can make a change from their attitude to a doctor, from like doctor to a scientist, then it's very easy. So educating them is the best way of correcting it, and then let them come and experience. Like we have very big hospitals in India where we treat the patient with Ayurveda, that too with very chronic diseases and disorders. Like I can show you some photos. Like I don't want to make anybody to feel that I am here to market. That's the reason even the program I did not show the photos, where the patients are coming with a lot of sufferings, and then we are healing them. So once they come there, understand, experience, talk to the patient, because they are educated patients. They are not just, like some illiterate people. No, they are not.
Sometimes they are.
Yeah, what I'm saying is they can get the information from the patient who is educated, so that they can understand our science is really scientific.
Yeah. And talking about the ministry in India, what does the ministry do in India? Is it like regulation, or how is it working?
This Ayush ministry, you are talking about the Ayush?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this ministry is having a wonderful slogan. That slogan is very, very interesting. They wrote, illiterates of the next generation are not the one who cannot read and write. The illiterates of the next generation are the one who cannot unlearn and relearn. So if you are learning something, and then if you completely believe this is the only thing which is in the world, then you are not literate in the next generation. So be ready to unlearn and relearn, then it's very easy. This is what actually Ayush government, Ayush ministry in India is doing.
But do they do any regulation, or how?
A lot.
A lot of.
Yes, they are doing a
Could
lot
you
of
explain
research.
it, because people usually don't follow the ministries in India. How does it work?
Oh, it was not so good till the last 10 years, but last 10 years it's really doing well. All credit goes to our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi. He is doing such a fabulous job.
So please explain, like, what kind of regulation they do.
See, like starting from the collection of the drug, we are not supposed to collect the herbs from the roadside. We have to go to the jungle and collect it, because chance of lead is present in over here. And we are taking the help of the lab to check the herbs collected, and the procedure of making everything is standardized. And the quality of the doctor, again, we have PG and PhD in Ayurveda, and the quality of the doctor is assured. And then the treatment, we have therapist who is performing the treatment, the training of the therapist and the quality of the therapist, everything is taken care in the Ayush ministry. You cannot just go and start some Ayurveda center right now.
Yeah. So in Slovakia, what would you recommend to a doctor who would like to incorporate Ayurveda principles? What would you recommend for like first steps?
The best thing is, like, they can do some internet search and try to understand some information. Once they feel they have some basic information, they can contact, we have many, institutions where they train the doctors through, continued medical education programs. They can join some program like that, and then maybe in 6 months' time, they will get the basic understanding of the Ayurveda. Then they can start applying the Ayurveda philosophy in their treatment. Like, just make sure that their diabetic patient is waking up at 5, doing some exercise every day. That's part of Ayurveda, and then that they can see wonderful results going to take place.
Would you recommend for GPs to start it at first? Is it like the best field of?
I'm not filtering anyone, including you. Anybody can study this science. Knowledge is always good. Why only GPs? Even
Not only, but if we could implement the Ayurveda, the GPs treat people with diabetes and stuff
Anybody
like
can
that, right?
study Ayurveda, absolutely no problem. We are welcoming everybody in to study Ayurveda. I really don't want them to just start practicing or like experimenting some medicines. I was shocked to hear today, like more than 3 people said they are taking ashwagandha, and I asked, what is ashwagandha? you know, I was really very surprised, and they don't know ashwagandha is from Ayurveda, but they are taking because ashwagandha is marketed by some companies in a fantastic way. So we are living in a world where the marketing is everything.
Well, in Western countries, Ayurveda is often commercialized in a way that strays maybe from its traditional principles, right?
Yeah.
Do you believe modern Ayurveda is at risk of becoming like a wellness trend here in Western countries rather than a legitimate medical approach?
Not really. Actually, I was traveling in last 18 days in the Balkan countries, and most of the hotels where I was staying, as you said, there was some Ayurvedic division, and they were doing only the wellness therapy or the relaxation treatments. But like I was so happy to see an Ayurvedic coffee down over here. So the word Ayurveda is getting sold. So naturally, once the people over here understand the wellness part of Ayurveda is just 1% or 2% of the total Ayurveda, surely the science will flood over here, which
Well,
is happening in Germany, which is happening in Switzerland. So many Ayurveda centers in these 2 countries. So people are coming to India, and our hospital, 80% is from patients are from the European part.
80%.
80% of the hospital patients are from Europe.
Interesting. So, is there anything that makes you mad, or mad is maybe a strong word, but concerned when you see like Western Ayurveda label on everything? Is there anything particular that is concerning you?
Yeah, it's a very good question. Actually, I try to control or avoid my emotions because in our science, every emotion is having energy, and if I get into that emotion, naturally I am leaking my energy, and this energy is very important for me. So yeah, I try to go there, talk to them, and give them an insight about this is only 1% of Ayurveda. The remaining 99 is waiting for you.
Yeah, but so what are the topics that that doesn't make you mad, but you would, if you could, you would change?
Like my daughter keep asking so many questions at a time, and it can make me mad. So I'm a simple person, like small things can make me mad. So all emotions are very important, but I'll try to maintain my happiness as much as possible so I can live healthy, happier, and more younger.
No, I mean, but what would you change that is not Ayurvedic in Western countries, and you see the label Ayurveda? What is like the things that you would change that is not in the principles with Ayurveda?
Actually, you are asking the question to a wrong person. Actually, your government should be asked this question, and then they have to do some contact with the Ayush Ministry of India and try to understand and then try to promote the real one, not the wellness Ayurveda.
Okay.
So I don't think this question should be answered by me.
Yeah, yeah, sure. So what are some simple Ayurvedic practices that someone who is not a doctor here could implement in their life right away? Could you give us some advice?
Laugh more, be happy more, which I am not
That's a
finding over
tough
here.
job.
Yeah, see, here people are laughing. I was just observing from the time I landed here. They laugh only at the bar, not in any other place. So laugh everywhere. That's the best treatment I can advise.
Maybe less alcohol, more practice.
Yeah, see, actually, the alcohol from the local, I don't call it as a proper alcohol because yesterday I got some 15 ml of alcohol, which they made with some herb. And I got such a wonderful sleep. Mr. Simon came to talk
Well,
to me, but I
because
was
you
not
didn't
able.
drink 10 of them, right?
Yeah, maybe. So alcohol is not completely wrong, but you should know when to drink, how to drink, and with whom to drink. That's most important, which Ayurveda explains. There is a chapter which explains about madadhyaya or alcoholism, and explains very fantastically about all these things. So if anybody is interested to know how to drink, please approach.
So drink with a happy person.
It depends again. When you are mad at your wife, it's better to drink with the wife. So Ayurveda is highly personalized. I cannot just give a simple answer like that.
Okay, so maybe someone is still skeptical here um, about the scientific validity of Ayurveda. Um, is it possible to explain Ayurveda to maybe a skeptic like me, to persuade everyone? Probably not, right?
Yeah, it's possible. It's all about the listening capacity. You understand, no? It's all about the listening capacity. So if your listening capacity is good and if your absorption capacity is good, then of course you will understand what I'm saying. It's not about me. I say the same thing to everyone, but it depends upon the person who hear.
Yeah, but the most important thing is like mutual respect, right?
Yeah, that's most welcoming, but if not also it's okay.
You're not mad about it, I can see. Are there any questions from the audience? Chce sa niekto spýtať nejakú otázku, priatelia, ktorí nás tu počúvate? Môže byť aj po slovensky, ja ju preložím. Alebo po anglicky. Je to niekto, kto má otázku? Možno nejaký doktor? They are shy. I will repeat it. Is Ayurveda suitable for preventive medicine?
Yeah, it's clear. Yeah, that's the most key point of Ayurveda. So first they explained about when to wake up and when to sleep. We call it as dinacharya or daily routine. And then they explained about Ridhucharya, which is the changes according to the season. And you have to make some changes according to the season. Then they explained about food. How to get the raw ingredients, how to cook it with which vessel, how much water to be added, how much time to be cooked, which direction you have to sit when you're eating food, everything so detailedly. So 80% of the person over here, when I observe today, they are eating food by looking at the mobile. So I was also trying to understand the fun of eating by looking at the mobile. That's real wrong thing. So when you are not following these rules and regulations, then you will get into some diseases and disorders. So the first part of Ayurveda is all about prevention. And prevention is not with many medicines and treatment. It's about by learning what is healthy lifestyle. I got an interesting question from one of my friend here. He asked me, I saw your photos, you're eating everything, you're drinking everything. Yeah. So, but that's really, I said him, don't follow me. Because when I am out, I do everything and I go back, I do 10 days of fruit fasting and clean myself. You understand? No. So my mental health will be more better when I do something which is not really good for my body. And my body health will be better when I do something which is really good for the mind.
So Ayurveda is deeply rooted in Indian climate and diet, right? How can it be adapted to countries like Slovakia, where the diet is different, where the climate is different?
I'm shocked about this question because, India is so huge. We have minus 30 degree and plus 45 degree. And Ayurveda is everywhere in India. So climate is not an issue at all. We know how to handle it. And about the food, I said it's very personalized. So when you come to me for consultation, I take a note of everything what you eat and what you like to eat, what you don't like to eat. And the advice is highly personalized. It's not like, I am just asking you to be vegetarian and Ayurveda. No, it's not like that. So what you like to eat, I will try to understand, and in that, which one is good for you, which one is bad for you, I segregate and then make you understand this is what you have to eat.
So it's not strictly vegetarian or
Absolutely not.
strictly spicy food or something?
Not at all. Not at all.
I understand. Can you share any success stories of Ayurveda being integrated into mainstream hospitals? Do you have any? Probably.
Yeah, recently one patient, she came with a lot of fruits to meet me for consultation. So I was a little surprised. I asked why. Then she said 7 years before, an allopathic doctor, a cancer oncologist said me that I'm not going to live for more than 3 months. Now 7 years I completed, I'm still breathing. So that was it was heart touching. But when my grandfather was training me, he said you should not be emotional with the patient's expression. If they are getting result, not getting result, it should be neutral for you. But this is one incident where I got a little emotional when she said that I'm still breathing. So, the science is very fantastic and it's very deep and it's amazing. And unless you experience, you don't understand what I'm saying.
So there are doctors that are taking the holistic approach, right? They look at the physical state, the mental state of a person, the healthy well-being lifestyle. So how is it different in Ayurveda versus traditional doctor taking the holistic approach as well, but maybe in a traditional way, like going into a psychiatrist or a therapist and maybe doing more exercise and eating healthy? How is it different in Ayurveda?
See, do you think they need a change? A doctor where you're going to consult, Most of the doctors, 90% of the doctors are treating the report. They are not treating the patient nowadays. They look at the report and say, this is your problem. Take these chemicals and correct the report and the treatment is done. This is what is happening. Patient consultation is missing in most of the clinics. Patient interaction and patient listening is literally missing. And that is actually holistic. You listen to your problem. If you are saying me something about your problems and if I listen, don't you feel good?
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
you want to
but I
call
mean,
it as
there
holistic?
are,
It's a common
for
sense.
sure, there are some traditional doctors listening to you and taking the holistic
I said
approach.
90%, 10%
Yeah, yeah.
good.
Let's imagine the 10%. How is it different from Ayurveda when a traditional doctor is taking this kind of approach?
See, actually, in Ayurveda, we take that person as a whole. As a whole means, their physical body is there, their mental body is there, their soul is there, their thinking is there, their environment is there, their past is there, their future is there. We take them as a total whole. You understand? And then we analyze. What is the reason behind the past? What are the situations happened in the past which led to this situation? And then we try to explain them, how to handle it. So it is very different from a person, a doctor who is decent enough to talk to the patient or listen to the patient. It's very, very different. They need really training, That's what I said. And the first training, what Ayurveda way we can give to the Slovakian doctors is about the consultation.
So let's talk more about the self-healing because you've mentioned it a few times now. How can let's explain it more because it may sound a little bit imaginative, but how when you talk about self-healing and somebody has cancer, can you explain it? What kind of self-healing can do a person with cancer?
Yeah. I'll explain with an incident with an experience. Recently, one allopathic doctor, she was a gynecologist, came to my Delhi clinic saying that she is having a tumor in the uterus and she don't want to get it removed because she was just 32 and it's looking like they have to remove the total uterus. So she was not happy about that. So she wanted to try Ayurveda and she came to me and then we gave some medicines, treatment, lifestyle corrections. After 3 months, she came and visited me again. I checked in Ayurvedic way. I said, it's getting better. You continue the same medicine. And the next 3 months after, because I asked my patient to visit me after 3 months only, she was the first patient sitting in the clinic when I was going inside and she was very upset. And, she was really upset. And then I asked, you say me why you are upset and then you get upset. Because I'm not understanding why she's upset. And without my consent, she did a scanning and the tumor is missing. Now she's asking me where my tumor has gone. You understand? So I said, Ayurveda is having operation without incision. You operate and remove, we remove it without operation.
But it's not possible for all kind of cancer, right?
See, cancer is a fancy name. It's a disorder. It's not a disease. So if you can correct the disorder, then it can be taken care. Body will take care of it. It's a big market, so nobody want to say it is a disorder.
Isn't it a bit controversial to say this in
I always try to make myself feared, but unfortunately, most of the time I am very failure in that. So I don't think I have to get feared to talk about the truth.
But you would not recommend to a patient to go get chemotherapy?
Sometimes, I'm not against any of the system. I understand that every system is very important. Some patient, in my science, in my diagnosis, I understand I won't be able to help them. I recommend them to go for, in our hospital, 200 allopathy doctors are working. The hospital which I am representing in India, that hospital is having 650 rooms, and we have 200 allopathy doctors working with us. But the top floor is for us.
So every system has strengths and weaknesses, right? If I would ask a traditional doctor what are weaknesses of their traditional medicine in a hospital, they would name you a few things. So what are the weaknesses of Ayurveda?
The new generation is not coming to Ayurveda because they don't have much role models. So when they are not getting admission in the mainstream medicine or dentistry, they are coming. So what we are getting is actually the quality of the doctors or the students is very less. This is very, very, very upsetting thing. So I really want brilliant students to come to this science so that this science can be explored properly, understood properly, and expanded properly. And the other weakness is like every science, we are also having so much of limitations. Treating an accident case, we are having limitation. Treating in many emergency situations, we are having limitations. We accept that. So that's the reason our hospital is having allopathy doctors also. But what we are saying is, in case of lifestyle disorders, chronic disorders, instead of just continually giving steroids and antibiotics and, you know, just give them a chance. There are some other roads they can walk.
Um, so we've talked about the Western Ayurveda label that can be on things that are not really Ayurveda, right? So what are some misconceptions that you would name that are not Ayurvedic, but people are labeling it in Europe Ayurvedic?
I don't know, that guy is over here. I am so sorry. The Ayurvedic coffee. There is nothing called as Ayurvedic coffee. The coffee is a stimulant, and if you mix any Ayurvedic herbs with the coffee, that's killing the science.
So it's bullshit.
Yeah, of course. It's like the beer which is vegan. So
Okay.
you add the vegan in the beer and then you can sell more.
So maybe labels on food that they say that is Ayurvedic, that's not really the Ayurvedic approach?
See, Ayurveda is highly personalized. I cannot say this particular food is Ayurveda. This particular food may be Ayurvedic for you, may not be Ayurvedic for me.
Yeah.
So there is nothing like that.
So maybe some people shouldn't drink coffee and it's not Ayurvedic for them, correct?
See, like, if some people, they want a stimulant. Sometimes, like as a doctor, I say them, you drink because you need stimulant. That's really good.
How soon can you start with Ayurveda? I mean, I have a 4-month old baby. If something happened to her, could I try Ayurveda for her?
Yeah, of course, this science is having a history of 4,000 years. And allopathy is having a history of only 80 or 100 or maximum 200 years. So people were surviving for more than 3,800 years without allopathy.
So even for newborns
Yeah, of course.
and for old people, for everyone.
From the day first to the day last, we can do Ayurveda.
Would you recommend for me to try Ayurvedic approach for my baby?
Yeah, actually, I'm sorry. I was observing you are playing with your baby, and your baby is little, like more naughty. So I think the quality of the sleep is not so good. So you just apply milk. Seriously, you just try this. That's the part of Ayurveda. You take brown sugar, mix with milk, apply in her body, wait for just 1 minute, and give her a bath. Do it for 5 days. You will never forget me.
Really?
Just try.
I will. So, is there any advice for doctors that are listening to us, or maybe for people who are not doctors but are working in a healthcare system, where they maybe do not have the support of the hospital to, change the system and take the Ayurvedic approach, but how could they implement in some ways some approaches from Ayurveda?
So, just implementing something, I don't really advise them, but I strongly advise them to learn. Because they should not have a closed brain or closed mind. They should open their brain and open the mind and try to understand what this science is all about, why and how it is standing from 4,000 years, why the world is accepting in now also. So something is there. Try to understand what it is. So learning is the most important thing I suggest to them.
Do you have any recommendations where they could find any information about Ayurveda that are valid?
Yeah, if anybody is interested to learn, they can just connect with me and it's free. I don't charge anybody for anything for learning. And we can start a WhatsApp group with Slovakian doctors interested or other healthcare people, and then they can ask me questions, I will answer, and slowly the learning starts.
Maybe some literature?
I said no, Ayurveda is highly individualized. So more than teaching, we believe in learning. There's a big difference. Like if I want to teach you about lotus flower, I don't come to the class with the lotus flower. I come with the rose flower and lily flower and say this is not lotus. So finding lotus is your job. So when they get training with me, they learn and they understand totally what is learning.
So you told me before we started the discussion, that you've traveled around Balkans and then Hungary and Slovakia. Can you
Most
see
of the European countries.
Can you see any differences between the countries, or are the healthcare systems are pretty similar to each other?
About healthcare system, I don't have much idea, but the countries are very different. I was experiencing the climate is different, the food is different, the culture is different, the happiness index is different, the partying feel is different, the night is different, everything is different, and I really enjoyed that difference.
And you've said that Slovakians fear a lot, so that's your observation comparing to other
unknown
countries.
Fear. It's not the non-fear. Non-fear is very different. I think your minds are very strong. Any known fear you can handle, but unknown fear, you are in trouble. It's a general observation I got from this hotel room, not from the Slovakia.
Oh,
because-
it's a good observation, I have to say. It's a good observation.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, if you compare the countries where you've traveled, and you could describe Slovakia's problems that could prevent, Ayurvedic approach, would it be the food, the mindset, or maybe the alcohol consumption that we do have problems with? What would you say?
It's difficult to answer a generalized way because, like as I said, Ayurveda is highly personalized. But over a whole, if you ask me, I recommend them to eat their dinner before sunset. This is one single thing, if they can follow, 80% of the problems can be solved.
And without the mobile phone.
Yeah.
So before sunset
Mindful eating.
and mindful eating.
Yes.
Yeah. And then exercising at 5 a.m.
That may not be suggested because I am so sure they're not going to do that. I don't want my advice to go in vain.
Yeah, that's a little bit too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. But exercising at any point
See,
of the day is
exercising
good, right?
is again, what kind of exercise they have to do is very important. So, you just take 2 beakers like this, aerate water 101 time every day morning and drink the remaining water. You can try this because this is really good for your baby and for yourself. So take 2 beakers like this and then just lift it like this and then pour to the next one. Do it for 101 time. Okay? Now, the first day you'll be surprised because you won't be getting any water to drink. You spill out the water. And why this happens? The mind-body relation of you is very bad. Your listening capacity is very poor. When I'm explaining the things to you, instead of listening me, you're framing the questions in your back mind. The moment I stop, you want to ask. So the listening capacity improves by just doing this exercise. And this increases the happiness index of you. Just try.
I will try the sugar and the milk as well. Máme ešte čas na jednu otázku, ak je tu niekto z vás, kto by sa chcel niečo spýtať. Posledná otázka, last question, if anybody wants to ask a question. I will just repeat the question in the microphone so others will hear. So how do you ask the questions of the patient when the doctor
understand. I
gets
can make it very
X-rays and
simple.
labs?
How
do
I
you get the
diagnose
information?
and how they diagnose.
Yeah.
See, the answer is little...
And I will repeat, how are you sure you will get all of the
I
information?
totally understood.
Yeah.
Because, like in Ayurveda, we have different diagnostic measures. It's not just asking the questions. We call it as pulse examination, where I press the radial artery and try to understand the movements over there. And it's called as Nadi examination. It's a very unique way of diagnosing the patient in Ayurveda. So we understand the heart is pumping the blood to every cell and it's coming back. Once it comes back with the information. And when it passes through the radial artery, I'm decoding it. Okay, so this is one of the way of doing the diagnosis. Now your question is like, when you, means the allopathy doctor get the patient, they go for the lab examinations and different scannings and then they get a proper, understanding about the patient. I disagree with that because, sometimes the patient come to me, they ask the same thing and I ask them to get tested in 10 labs. So the first time when I say them, tomorrow morning you go, give your blood in 10 different labs. So the patient feels little upset. I said, okay, don't give 10, give in 5 labs. After that, they never asked me about the blood report because all the 5 labs are giving different readings. You can try with your patient next time when you want to try this. I'm not saying lie. This is happening in this part of the world.
So what if a patient lies to you?
That's what I said. We interact with the patient and, from 35 years I'm practicing, I understand somebody lies to me. That's one way. Another thing is this is only one way of, diagnosing the patient. Pulse examination. I check their eyes. I check their tongue. I check their skin. I go inside
So you combine it with
Yes,
other information.
Yeah. We have more than 20 varieties of diagnostic measures in Ayurveda. Just checking the nails, we can diagnose.
Do you confront them when they lie to you?
Yeah, of course, because sometimes, if I really want them to follow the rules and regulation, I will say them that you lied me. And sometimes if I don't want to pain them or, put them in a, so then I will just neglect it.
So you're a little bit like a therapist, you know?
Yeah, therapist, you mean like the psychiatrist?
Yeah.
Much better than a psychiatrist. I help them from my heart.
Okay.
So, most of the psychiatrists work from the brain. It's difficult to work from the heart.
No, I have a very good psychiatrist, and
You are
she
lucky.
does it with the heart.
You are lucky.
Okay, so if anyone has questions, they can come to you anytime, right, after this discussion?
Yeah, I'm here for tomorrow also.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Most welcome. I really enjoyed your question. Can I get this video? Because I never perform so fantastically anytime in my life.
No problem. And I have a few information for you. I will switch to Slovak now. Po skončení Open Talku som vám mala povedať, že občerstvenie a večerný program je dole v sále. Takže prosím, ak máte záujem o občerstvenie a večerný program, tak nie tu, ale dole v sále. Ďakujeme veľmi pekne, že ste tu boli s nami.